الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We pray that Allah bless this lesson, make it a reason in this blessed night in Jumu'ah, that Allah forgive our sins and answer our prayers. May Allah protect us from all difficulties, trials and tribulations in dunya and akhirah. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. In our last lesson in Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, we were speaking about combining in your prayers due to traveling and also rain. And I think we have completed this chapter. So in the Mother al-Imam Shafi, we mentioned that it is permissible to combine any prayers if there is raining in a place that is far from the house, and they are praying in Jama'ah, and it is difficult for them to return to the place of Jama'ah, then it is permissible for them to combine the prayers taqdeeman, Jama' taqdeem, not any Jama' ta'khir. So we have spoken about this. So inshallah ta'ala, today we will enter into the next chapter, that is the chapter on Jumu'ah prayers. So the author mentioned Babu Salatil Jumu'ah, Babu Salatil Jumu'ah, chapter on the Jumu'ah prayers. So in the Quran, in Hafiz the recitation of Hafiz we say Jumu'ah with Dhamma. It is based in when we recite Surah Al-Jumu'ah, إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ. There is also is permissible in Arabic language also with sukun, Jumu'ah. So Jumu'ah and Jumu'ah, it comes from the word Ijtima', because normally in the day of Jumu'ah we gather for our prayers. In the pagan period, Yawmul Jumu'ah is Yawmul Aruba. But in Islam, when the coming of Islam, it is changed into Jumu'ah. And it is the best of all this. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, as narrated in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet mentioned, لا تطلع الشمس ولا تغرب على يوم أفضل من يوم الجمعة. And there is not any a day that sets in better than the day of Jumu'ah. And this is the day where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, if a person dies, he dies as shaheed. يعتق الله فيه ستة مئة ألف عتيق من النار ومن مات فيه كتب له أجر شهيد ووقي فتنة القبر. And he will be safe from the trials of the grave. So inshallah we begin. Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ونستعين على أمر الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الشيخ المؤلف ودم الله ونفع به والدارين آمين رضي الله عنكم. باب صلاة الجمعة. تجب الجمعة على كل مكلف حر ذكر مقيم بلا مرض ونحوه مما تقدم، وتجب على المريض ونحوه إن حضر وقت إقامتها أو حضر في الوقت ولم يشق عليه الانتظار.
So the first thing the author mentioned, Jumu'ah is compulsory. تجب الجمعة على كل مكلف, that it is compulsory upon all mukallaf. So mukallaf is a person who has reached puberty, and a person who is mentally conscious, and not a person who is mad, and he is a Muslim. Jumu'ah is compulsory, so it is fardu ain upon every Muslim. So here the author mentions some conditions. Hurrin dhakarin muqim. So Jumu'ah is compulsory for free people, meaning not slaves. For slaves, Jumu'ah is not compulsory. And is compulsory dhakar, for the male, not any the female. Muqim, a person who resides in a place, not any musafir. Jumu'ah is not compulsory for the traveler, with the conditions as what we are going to mention inshallah. So here we have a few things. Mukallaf spoke about the udhr before this of Jama'ah, that if a person is sick, this is a concession of him not attending any Jama'ah. If a person is in a state where there is flood and there is difficulty for him to come to the masjid, this is also a concession that Jumu'ah is not compulsory. Likewise, if a person having any difficulties of attending, because of sickness or because of war, for example, because of the fear, and so on and so forth. So all these things, as what the author mentioned, mimma taqaddama. Taqaddama, goes back to a'darul jumu'ati wal jama'ah, which he mentioned before this. So we have to refer to that, which we have covered. So then only Jumu'ah is not compulsory if there is a situation where he is unable to attend. وَتَجِبُ عَلَى الْمَرِيدِ وَنَحْوِهِ إِذَا حَضَرَ وَقْتَ إِقَامَتِهَا. So he mentioned that the sick person not compulsory to attend Jumu'ah, but if he attends, then it becomes compulsory upon him. And if he is in the masjid at the time of Iqamah, now we say that it is compulsory for him to perform the Jumu'ah prayers, because now there is no mashaqqa for him to wait, because it is just 2 raka'ah prayers. So it is compulsory upon him to wait and to pray the Jama'ah, and even though he is sick. But it is different if a person is sick and he is at home. If the sickness, he has any great difficulty in attending any Jama'ah, then that is a concession. But not if he is in the masjid. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. He said, وَلَمْ يَشُقَّ عَلَيْهِ الْإِنْتِظَارِ. This is another condition, that if he wait until any Jumu'ah finishes, there is no great difficulty, and it is easy for him, then any Jumu'ah is compulsory. So here we see the author mentioned a few things, and he speaks about the conditions on the obligation of Jumu'ah, that a person must be healthy, not in a state of sickness. He must be muqim, not in a state of traveling, not a slave, a free man, mukallaf. So Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon children, who has not reached the age of puberty. It is not compulsory upon the insane, because mentally they are not conscious, and so on and so forth. Aywa. أو حضر في الوقت ولم يشق عليه انتظار ومن بلغه نداء سيد من طرف موضع الجمعة مع سكون ريه والصوت لا على مسافر سفرا مباحا طويلا أو قصيرا. طيب the author mentioned something that we need to pay attention. Pay attention meaning there are certain things that we have need some reflection. So look at what the author is saying. He said, وَمَنْ بَلَغَهُ نِدَاءُ سَيِّةٍ مِنْ طَرْفِ مَوْضِعِ الْجُمُعَةِ مَعَ سُكُونِ غَيْهِ وَالصَّوْتِ. So now he is speaking about a situation, a person is far from the city. A person lives far from the village or the city. This person, is it compulsory for him to attend Jumu'ah? So the condition is then, if he is able to hear the adhan, meaning, or he is able to hear the voice of a person if he shouts at the edge of the city, that is able to hear the voice ma'a sukuni rih, meaning when it is quiet. Is he able to hear the voice if that person is at the edge, or not able to hear? If he is able to hear, then it is compulsory upon him to perform the Jumu'ah at that place, and it is compulsory upon him to come. But if he is far away in a way that he is unable to hear the voice, if a person shouts at the edge of the city, or the edge of the country, or edge of the island, then it is not compulsory for him to perform the Jumu'ah. So if a person lives in a desert, for example, and there is a city near to the desert, is it compulsory for him to perform Jumu'ah? It depends. How far is his house from the city? If he is a Bedouin, he lives by himself in the desert, is it compulsory for him to perform any Jumu'ah, meaning to go to the city and perform Jumu'ah? If he is far away, he cannot hear the voice if a person shouts at the end of the city, then it is not compulsory for him to observe any Jumu'ah. If he hears, then it is compulsory upon him to perform the Jumu'ah. So if Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon him, he performs Zuhur prayers. Is it clear, inshallah? Can be understood? Huh? This is not that easy, yeah? Because now imagine a person and he lives in an island. Is it compulsory for them to perform Jumu'ah? They are staying in the island, and there are only a few people, for example 5 people staying in an island in the middle of the ocean. Is Jumu'ah compulsory upon them? Jumu'ah is not compulsory. Jumu'ah is not compulsory. Unless if there is another island that is near to them that has Jumu'ah and they can hear the voice. That's what we mentioned. Then they have to come into the island to perform Jumu'ah. Clear, inshallah? But if they are far away, then it is not compulsory. So here the author and he gives us the condition. What is the condition for these people? For us, to say that Jumu'ah is compulsory upon them. So we need to understand there are people whom Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. And these are people who live in the wilderness. People who live in the desert. People who live in the jungle. For example. Then Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. If their population has not reached 40 people. If the population has not reached 40 people, then Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. La ala musafirin safaran mubahan tawilan aw qasira. So the author mentioned Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon the musafir. Musafir safar tawil or qasir. Tawil is anything that is more than 2 marhala. Qasir, anything that is less than 2 marhala. So it is not compulsory upon the musafir. Safar qasir wala tawil. So this is good news for those who are traveling. But of course the condition is that they must leave the country before Fajr. They must leave the country before Fajr. If they leave the country after Fajr, then they have to perform the Jumu'ah. They have to perform Jumu'ah. And Safar is haram if a person leaves on Friday after Fajr. It is not permissible to travel on Fridays, unless if he is confident that he can pray Jumu'ah on the way. But if he knows that he cannot pray Jumu'ah on the way, it is not permissible for him to travel. It is prohibited. طيب. Continue. ويحرم
على من لزمته السفر بعد الفجر إلا مع إمكانها في طريقه أو توحش بتخلفه عن الوقوف.
This is what we mentioned. ويحرم السفر بعد الفجر. This is the text I have. ويحرم السفر بعد الفجر إلا مع إمكانها في طريقه. It is haram for him to travel after Fajr, on Fridays, unless if he knows that he will be able to perform Jumu'ah on the way. But if a person he takes flight and he purposely book the flight 10 a.m. and he reach the destination Asar time, he purposely book on Friday without any reason, haram upon him to do that. It is not permissible. So when we are traveling, all this we have to take into considerations. And do not book flights on Friday just before Jumu'ah prayer. This is not what a Muslim should do. So we have to take considerations try not to travel on Fridays. Usually ulama they do not like traveling on Fridays. Traveling on Thursday is good. But we try to avoid on Fridays. Unless after Jumu'ah then there is a different situation. أو توحش بتخلف عن رفقة. But sometimes everything is fixed and you don't make the decision. If you don't travel, you'll be left out and you will lose your way. Then in this situation it is permissible for you. Because of the fear that you'll be left out from the group. And the group is traveling. Everybody is traveling. If you say that if I pray Jumu'ah, I will be left out from the group and I cannot travel. I will not be able to travel. It's such so that there is no other flight except on Jumu'ah. If I don't take this flight, I'm not able to travel, for example. Then there is a concession. Now, continue.
وتسن الجماعة في ظهر المعذورين ويخفونها إن خفي العذر ومن صحت ظهره صحت جمعته.
He said, وَتُسَنُّ الْجَمَاعَةُ فِي ظَهْرِ الْمَعْذُورِينَ. So now you have a group of people who have the concession not to pray Jumu'ah. Is it a sunnah for them to pray Zohar in Jama'ah? Yes, the author is saying, Tusannul jama'atu fi dhahil ma'dhurin. So you have 10 people, for example, they are unable to pray Jumu'ah. Just like during the Corona period. They are not able to come to the masjid, no booking and all these things. All this situation. So now you have to pray the Zohar prayers. Is it a sunnah I need to pray in Jama'ah? Yes, sunnah I need to pray in Jama'ah. If the reason of not attending Jumu'ah prayers is something that people do not know, it is better not to do it openly. Because people yani will spread fitna. That is fulan astaghfirullah al-azim. They do not pray Jumu'ah prayers. What are these people? They do not have taqwa to Allah. People spread all this fitna, but they do not know that they have concession not to perform Jumu'ah prayers. So if the reason is something that is not known, then it is a sunnah to pray in jama'ah. What do you say? It is a sunnah to pray in jama'ah secretly. But if the reason is known, like during the corona time, everybody knows there is a problem. There is a lockdown. So we are praying jama'ah in our houses. If you do it in the open, no problem. And everybody knows that now today nobody can pray the Jumu'ah. Or certain people only can pray the Jumu'ah prayers. Then there is no problem in praying the Zohar prayers. What you call it? Outwardly. Clear, inshallah. So this is what the author mentioned. وَتُسَنُّ الْجَمَاعَةُ فِي ظَهْرِ الْمَعْذُورِينَ وَيُخْفُونَهَا in khafi عُذْرُهُمْ. If the reason of not praying jama'ah is something that is hidden, sunnah for them to pray in jama'ah silently, not outwardly. وَمَنْ صَحَتْ زُهْرُهُ صَحَتْ جُمُعَتُهُ. Those whose zuhur is valid, the Jumu'ah is also valid. What is the meaning? You see, there are certain people, Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. For example, women, Jumu'ah is not compulsory. So they pray Zohar prayers. But if they pray Jumu'ah prayers, will their Jumu'ah be valid? A woman who prays in Jumu'ah, will the Jumu'ah be valid? This is a qaida. Man sahat zuhruhu sahat Jumu'atuhu. If their Zohar prayers is valid, then their Jumu'ah prayer is valid. Even though the Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. If they pray Jumu'ah, there is no need for them to pray Zohar. If they pray Jumu'ah, there is no need for them to pray Zohar. A woman prays Jumu'ah at the mosque, at the masjid. Although it is not recommended. Not recommended. Why? Out of the fear of ikhtilat. Unless the mosque has two exit. Exit for the man and exit for the woman, and the mosque is big, that there are a lot of space for the woman. No problem. Any woman can pray Jumu'ah. But usually mosques, small mosques, no space for the men. It is not appropriate for the mosque to open space for the woman, because how can you prevent the men from entering the masjid when Jumu'ah is compulsory upon them, and you are giving space to the woman whose Jumu'ah is not wajib. They can pray Zohar at home. But if they pray Jumu'ah, is the Jumu'ah valid? Yes. Is it compulsory for them to pray Zohar again? No. Because why? Jumu'ah takes the place of Zohar. Even though the Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. Likewise the slave. Slave also as what we mentioned. Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them. But if they pray Jumu'ah, there is no need for them to pray Zohar again. طيب. نعم, continue.
ومن وجبت عليه لا يصح إحرامه بالظهر قبل سلام الإمام ويندب للراجي زوال عذره تأخير ظهره إلى اليأس من الجمعة.
طيب, now when the author mention ومن وجبت عليه, those whom Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him. Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him, but he wants to pray the Zohar prayers. So the author mentioned it is not valid. If they perform the Zohar prayers before the salam of the Imam from the Jumu'ah. Before the salam of the Imam for Jumu'ah. Why? Right, now we have to understand this concept. You see, when we say Jumu'ah is compulsory upon someone, it is not permissible for him to pray the Zohar prayers. As long as the possibility of him able to pray the Jumu'ah exists, it is not permissible for him to pray the Zohar prayers, because the compulsion of Jumu'ah is still on his shoulders. The compulsion of Jumu'ah is still on his shoulders. So if he prays any Zohar prayers, he said, I do not want to go to Jumu'ah for no reason, and then he do the takbir, Allahu Akbar, Zohar prayers, then the Imam is still in khutbah. Now we say Zohar prayers is not valid. Your Zohar prayer is not valid. Because why? Now is the time compulsory upon you to perform Jumu'ah prayers, not Zohar prayers. And it is possible for you to perform Jumu'ah, then your Zohar is not valid. Your Zohar is not valid. So what does this person at least needs to do? He has to wait. He has to wait until the Jumu'ah finishes. then only he can perform any of the Zuhur prayers. Or a person stuck in a traffic jam, and he cannot perform Jumu'ah prayers. When does he perform any of the Zuhur prayers? Yani after the Jumu'ah prayers and he has finished, then we say he has to perform Zuhur prayers and now, because Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him. So here we have to differentiate between a person whom Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him and a person whose Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon him. Here we are speaking about people whom Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him. But for those people whose Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon them, they can pray the Zuhur prayers awal waqt. Clear, inshallah? So here there is a difference between a person whose Jumu'ah is compulsory and a person whose Jumu'ah is not compulsory. We are speaking about Jumu'ah is compulsory upon a person, he cannot pray Zuhur prayers in awal waqt. Because as long as the Jumu'ah is still there, the obligation of Jumu'ah is still on his shoulders. So Zuhur prayers is not valid. But if a person who cannot pray Jumu'ah, for example, a person bedridden in a hospital, confirm he cannot pray Jumu'ah prayer. Jumu'ah prayer is not compulsory upon him. Can he pray Zuhur prayers awal waqt, meaning after adhan and straight away Allahu Akbar? Cannot? Huh? All of you can understand? Can or cannot? Can. Correct or not? Can. Because why? Because Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon him. Right. But the author mentioned there is another situation. Another situation is a person, this is a third situation. First situation, Jumu'ah compulsory upon him. Second situation, Jumu'ah not compulsory upon him at all. The third situation is Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon him, but there is a possibility the uzur will cease. For this person, it is better for him not to pray Zuhur first. He waits until the uzur is gone. If there is a possibility of him praying Jumu'ah, then he goes into the Jumu'ah. In Singapore, for example, you are in a place where there is far, your workplace far. Suddenly you have some things up that you are unable to leave your workplace for some reason, or you are stuck in a traffic jam. But there is a possibility that the traffic jam everything will be smooth after that. There is a possibility that you might be able to pray Jumu'ah, because this situation might be temporary. So in this situation, we say it is a sunnah for you to wait. Even though you have the concession of not to attend Jumu'ah for some reason. For example, a person is sick, but there is a possibility he becomes cured in half an hour's time. So in this situation, he does not perform the Zuhur prayers. Why? This is what the author mentioned. Yundabu li raji zawali uzrihi. Because why? He has hope that the uzur goes away. If the uzur goes away and he is able to perform Jumu'ah, so in this case, ta'khiru zuhri ila al-ya'si min al-Jumu'ah. So he delay performing Zuhur prayers. Until when he delays? Ila al-ya'si min al-Jumu'ah. Until he says, confirm, now I cannot pray Jumu'ah anymore. Khalas. It's 2 o'clock already. No mosque in Singapore is going to pray Jumu'ah at this time. All mosques all finished already. So he say, in this situation, I perform my Zuhur prayers. Is it clear, inshallah? طيب. Continue.
فصل للجمعة شروط زوائد الأول وقت الظهر فلا تقضى جمعة فلو ضاق الوقت أحرموا بالظهر.
So these are the conditions on the validity of Jumu'ah prayers. Number 1, it has to be performed in the time of Dhuhr. It has to be performed in the time of Dhuhr. So here the author speaks about Jumu'ah prayers. If a person perform Jumu'ah prayers and part of the prayers is outside the timing, then they have to pray Zuhur prayers. For example, if a person, if a mosque, for example, prays Jumu'ah at 4 p.m., khutbah at 4 p.m., Asr is at 4 or 5 minutes. They do the khutbah at 4 p.m. and for 3 minutes they perform the prayers. By the time the Asr, the Imam is at the second rak'ah. So now the Imam has to perform the Zuhur prayers 4 rak'ah, not 2 rak'ah. Because why? Part of the prayer has gone out of the timing. So here we have to understand that all of the khutbah and prayers has to be in Zuhur time. it cannot be out of Zuhur time. So the author and he gave us any this example, performance any of Jumu'ah, part any of the prayer goes out any of the timing. The author did not speak any about performing any Jumu'ah before any of the timing, because I think it doesn't come across any the minds any of our ulama that a person any performs a Jumu'ah any before Zuhur. But they mention if any a person performs the Jumu'ah at the last timing, part any of the prayer outside any of the time any of Zuhur, then Jumu'ah is not valid. Likewise, any if you perform any Jumu'ah before Zuhur or the khutbah before Zuhur, the Jumu'ah any will not be valid. So it has to be at the Zuhur time. Now, so this is condition number 1. Continue.
الثاني أن تقام في حطة بلد أو قرية. الثالث أن لا يسبقها ولا يقارنها جمعة في تلك البلد إلا لعسر الاجتماع.
So now we need the author mention the second condition. أن تقام في خطة بلد أو قرية. The Jumu'ah yani must be performed within the boundaries any of the town or city or village. It has any to be performed any inside, within the boundaries any of the village, not any outside. Not any outside. So now, if we are in a country or village or town, we look any at the number of Muslims. How many Muslims are there? So if it is said, for example, there are 1,000 Muslims where Jumu'ah is compulsory, they have to come to the masjid. So we say one mosque and it suffices. One mosque suffices. If you say 1,000 people, so we only open for one mosque. It is not permissible any to open more than one. It is not any permissible any to open any more than one. And it has any to be performed inside any the vicinity of any the country, not any outside, because outside carries a different ruling. طيب. Continue. This number 2. Number 3. ألا يسبقها ولا يقارنها جمعة في تلك البلد أو القرية إلا لعسر الاجتماع. Okay, this is what I mentioned earlier. Exactly. You see, the author is saying it is not permissible for a person to open another place to perform Jumu'ah if it is possible that we gather everybody in one place. Unless there is no space. Unless there is no space. So imagine a country like Singapore, for example. Now when we ask the question, to accommodate the number of people praying Jumu'ah, how many mosques should there be? How many mosques should be open? So we say maybe 70 mosques island-wide. It suffices for everybody to perform Jumu'ah. Right now, it is not permissible for anyone to do Jumu'ah at any other place other than the 70 masjid. I cannot be performing Jumu'ah in my house. For example, I say to my family members, let us get there 40 people. Let us get there 40 people. Where do we pray? We pray at our center. We pray at our house. Like what some people are doing. They do not know that Jumu'ah is not valid. Why not valid? Because you have open up a place that is not permissible for you to do so. Because all these things has to be once it is accommodated by certain places, we cannot open any places of Jumu'ah. Clear, inshallah. But the thing is, if that happens, how do we know which is valid, which is not valid? This is the tricky part. So let me give you a simple example. 70 is too many. So let us give an example of a town. There are only 2 masjid. Okay. So in that town there are 1,000 people. So we say that one masjid is enough. So they have to perform in one masjid. But some of them perform in the second masjid. So which one is valid? Here the author mentioned وَأَنْ لَا يَسْبَقَهَا جُمُعَةٌ. the one that is valid is the first to do the takbir. Is the first to do the takbir. Which one is the first to do the takbir? That is the one that is valid. The second one is not valid. Is it clear, inshallah? The second one is not valid. So that is why Khatib and Jumu'ah, this is a thing that we have always need to take into consideration. This is a thing that we have to take into consideration. Number one, in Islam, it is a sunnah that the khutbah is short. There is hikmah. Khutbah should not be long. Number two, by making the khutbah short and hastily we are performing the prayers, takbir, this is to avoid that our Jummah will not be valid. To avoid, because if we are living in a situation, there are people outside offering any Jummah prayers in the houses and centers. So the first 70 will be valid. If you say 70 mosques or 70 places in Singapore, the first 70 will be valid. Other than that, it will not be valid. So how do we ascertain who are the one which one of these places does the takbir first? That is the thing that we take into consideration. So that is why as Khatib and Jumu'ah, no matter where we are in Singapore, we have to understand this ruling. So that is why it is recommended that we do not waste our time much on the mimbar. And this is part of wisdom. This is part on wisdom. Naam.
الرابع الجماعة وشرطها 40.
Unless the author mention upon illa li'usqil ijtima'. Illa li'usqil ijtima' meaning, for example, you have a town and there are 10,000 people, and then the mosque, one mosque can accommodate only 5,000. So khalas, and in this situation we open another mosque. This is a different situation because one mosque cannot accommodate the whole congregation. Now, number 4, al-jama'ah.
الرابع الجماعة وشرطها 40 مسلما ذكرا مكلفا حرا متوطنا لا يضعن إلا لحاجة فإن نقصوا في صلاة بطلت وصارت ظهرا ويجوز كون إمامها عبدا أو مسافرا أو صبيا إن زاد على 40.
Okay, this is an important condition. The author mentioned the condition is that al-jama'ah, Jumu'ah must be done in jama'ah. Jumu'ah must be done in jama'ah. If Jumu'ah is not be done in jama'ah, it is not valid. If Jumu'ah is not done in jama'ah, it is not valid. And then he mentioned 40 musliman. There must be 40 Muslims, dhakaran mukallafan hurran mutawattinan. So let us go and look at these conditions. Number 1, he must be a Muslim. 40 people, Muslims, men, not women. Mukallaf, has reached puberty, not kids, not any mad people. Mukallafan. Hurran, must be free people, not slaves. Mutawattinan, mutawattinan here means a person who stays in that locality. A person who stays in that locality. So here in the chapter of Jumu'ah, there is a difference between mustawtin and muqim. Mustawtin and muqim. So there is a thing in Jumu'ah prayers, we say Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him, but he is not counted. Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him, but he is not counted. What does he mean? Our fuqaha mentioned Jumu'ah is compulsory upon him, but he is not counted. Meaning, it is compulsory upon him, but he is not counted with the 40. Imagine you have 40 people muqim. Not valid Jumu'ah. Not valid. If all of us, for example, we go to an island, 40 of us, we go to an island, and we stay in that island for 10 days. There is no Jumu'ah. Because why? There is no mustawtin. There are no people who stays in the locality. Mustawtin meaning a person who stays in the locality and he does not travel unless lihajatin. That's what the author mentioned. La yad'anu lisafar illa lihajatin. He will not do safar unless if he has a need for him to do so. So this is mustawtin. Like for example, we are Singaporeans and we are mustawtin in this country. So we only travel any if there is a need. So we are counted any from the 40. We are counted from the 40. But Bangladeshi workers, any for example, they are not mustautin, they are muqim. So if you have any mosque, any for example, all of them are Bangladeshi workers, except any for the Imam in Bilal. It is not valid. Jumuah is not valid. So they must be mustautin. So here the author mentioned that they must be he said any mustautin. Condition any number 4. Mutawattinan or mustautinan la yad'anu illa lihajatin. Yani he does not any travel except any there is a need. Fa in naqasu fi salati sarat zuhran. So the author now mentioned now here 40 people praying. One of them any batal, the prayer becomes invalidated. Khalas, and all of them has to pray Zuhr prayers because 40 people. There must be any 40 people. Less any than 40, it is not valid. 40 people inclusive any of the Imam. This is qawl mu'tamad. 40 people inclusive any of the Imam, although we have qawl excluding the Imam. So 40 people including the Imam, they must be mustautin, zakar, hur. All these conditions and it must be there. So that is why when we go to places where there are no mustautin, there is no Jumu'ah. When there is no mustautin and there is no Jumu'ah. Now, so this is a condition. There must be Jama'ah, and Jama'ah and it must be mustautin. 40 people. فَإِنْ نَقَصُوا صَارَ زُهْرًا وَيَجُوزُ كَوْنُ إِمَامِهَا عَبْدًا أَوْ صَبِيًّا أَوْ مُسَافِرًا. Imam is a slave. Yeah, if you say Jumu'ah is not compulsory, Jumu'ah is not compulsory upon him, but valid any from him. Is he counted from the 40? No. He is not counted any from the 40. A slave and he is not counted from the 40. Sabi, yani mumayyiz, is not counted any from the 40. Tamam? Muqim, not counted from the 40. Musafir, not counted from the 40. But can they become the Imam? Yes, they can become the Imam. But they are not counted any from the 40. So the Jama'ah Ma'mumin must be 40. Ma'mumin and he must be 40. So here, this is what any the Fuqaha any meant. Jumu'ah is compulsory any upon them, but they are not counted. Sometimes Jumu'ah is not compulsory any upon them, but valid any for them any Jumu'ah. Like women, Musafir. Jumu'ah is not compulsory any upon them. But are they counted any from the 40? No. They are not counted any from the 40. Muqim. Jumu'ah is compulsory upon them, but are they counted any from the 40? No. So there is any thing we say Jumu'ah is compulsory, but they are not counted from the 40. Jumu'ah is not compulsory, but they are not counted any from the 40. Jumu'ah is compulsory, and they are counted any from the 40. So we have any all these different rulings. But when it comes into the Imam, any no issue. Abdan, Sabiyan, Musafiran. He wants any to become any the Imam, no problem. He can any become the Imam, he can become any the Khatib. Aywa, number 5.
الخامس خطبتان قبل الصلاة وفروضهما 5.
Now we have any the khutbatan. Prayers any is not valid if there are no khutbah. So the khutbah yani takes any the place of 2 rak'ah. Khutbatan, the 2 khutbahs. So this thing any that we have to understand. Khutbah not valid, prayer not valid. Khutbah not valid, prayer any is also not valid. If the prayer so this any khutbatan any is the condition of the validity any of Jumu'ah. So the author and he mentioned there are 5 pillars. Furuduha khamsatun. So when we are speaking about khutbah, we have to take into consideration the 5 things. Now continue.
Alhamdulillah ta'ala wassalatu ala rasulillah والوصية بالتقوى وتجب هذه الثلاثة في الخطبتين. الرابع قراءة آية مفهمة في إحداهما. الخامس الدعاء للمؤمنين في الثانية.
Now, these are the 5 conditions, 5 any pillars. Number 1, Alhamdulillah Ta'ala. We praise Allah by saying Alhamdulillah or Innal Hamdalillah. So this is the first rukun, wajib, a pillar, yani of khutbah. Number 2 was salatu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Minimum many we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin, for example. So salawat in upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wajib and a pillar. And then number 3, wal wasiyatu bit taqwa. Yani the khatib and he mentioned Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqullah, or he just say ittaqullah. There's a minimum. This wasiyah bitaqwa. And all these things and it must be done in the Arabic language. All any the pillars any of khutbah must be in the Arabic language. Hamdalah, salawat kepada Prophet SAW, and wasiyah bitaqwa. So minimum any the khatib and he say Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqullah. This is the minimum. All these things and it must be in the Arabic language. But if a person and he does it and he in translation, it's not valid. Sometimes any a person might make mistakes. Say Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Then and he speaks any in English or in Malay. The khutbah is not valid. Even though he says, "O congregation, have taqwa to Allah." No, you are speaking in English because all these things has to be in the Arabic language. So the author and he mentioned all these three things and it must be in both any khutbah. First khutbah, second khutbah. وَتَجِبُ هَذِهِ الثَّلَاثَةُ فِي كُلٍّ مِنَ الْخُطْبَتَيْنِ وَرَابِعُ قِرَاءَةِ آيَةٍ مُفْهِمَةٍ. Number 4 is to recite one verse of the Quran. And this verse must have a complete meaning. So verses in the Quran, certain verses, their meaning is not known. Yani if a person and he says Alif Lam Mim, and nobody knows what is Alif Lam Mim, and he does it in a khutbah, we say it's not valid. This is not considered to be ayatun mufhima. And if a person and he recite from the Quran, Summa Basar, this part of the meaning of a few verses, it's not valid because the meaning is not complete. Meaning is hanging. It must have a complete meaning. At least any khabar and mubtada. Qul huwallahu ahad. Okay. Mufhima. No problem. But other certain verses that the meaning is not complete, it is not permissible for us to bring it in the khutbah. So at least it must be one ayah. Must be one ayah. But this can be done either in the first khutbah or in the second khutbah. That's why the author, what the author say? في إحداهما الخامس الدعاء للمؤمنين في الثانية. number 5, to make dua for the mu'minin. Minimum he says Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minin. All this must be done in Arabic language. Recitation of the Quran must be done in Arabic language. Dua also must be done in the Arabic language. Inshallah, we have some more time, I believe. So we finish this up. وشروطهما
القيام لمن قدر وكونهما بالعربية وبعد الزوال والجلوس بينهما بالطمأنينة وإسماع العدد الذي تنعقد به والولاء بينهما والصلاة وطهارة الحدثين وطهارة النجاسة والستر.
Then he mentioned the conditions of khutbah, the validity of khutbah, al-qiyam liman qadar. The khatib must stand. It is not permissible for him to sit down if he has the ability to stand. وَكَوْنُهُمَا بِالْعَرَبِيَّةِ, that's what we mentioned. All this must be in Arabic language. All the pillars, the 5 pillars. وَبَعْدَ الزَّوَالِ, it must be done after zawal, khilafan lil mutaakhireen. Some many of those does the khutbah before zawal. Say khilafan lil mutaakhirin. So it must be done after zawal. Wal julus bainahuma bituma'nina. So the khatib and he must sit down. Minimum there must be tuma'nina in between the two khutbah. Isma'ul adad. The congregation must hear the khutbah. At least 40 people must hear the khutbah. So the voice and it must be projected. Nowadays we have microphone, no issue. Wal muwala tu bainahuma. There must be muwala. After the first khutbah, immediately go send it to the second khutbah. And likewise muwala bain al khutbati was salah, between the khutbah and prayers. The khatib imam cannot delay. Cannot take too much time. Istawu ya jama'ah, istawu lis salah. All of you those at the back, please come. All mashallah in 5 minutes. Khalas, and we say we have to do khutbah again. Because muwala, there is no muwala, it's not valid. Wa tahara al hadathain. Imam, khatib, and he must be in a state of tahara. Must be in a state of wudu. Wa tahara ani najasa. There must be no najasa. Wa satul awrah. Must cover the awrah when doing the khutbah. والله أعلم بالصواب. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.